All right, everybody. Page 194 of Hoot. Remember that Officer Delinko had just ran across Dana, who was pretending to be Roy, on the road after he had tried to go to the Mother Paula's lot. So that's where we're picking up. Once again, top of page 194. Officer Delinko said, "Can I talk to you for a second, young man?" "Nope," answered the boy, turning to bolt. With rat traps on his feet, he didn't get far. Officer Delinko had no difficulty catching the boy and hustling him into the caged back seat of the police cruiser. The patrolman's seldom used handcuffs worked splendidly. "Why did you run?" he asked the young prisoner. "I want a lawyer," the kid replied, stone-faced, cute. Officer Delinko put the squad car into a U-turn so he could take the boy to the police station. Glancing in the rear-view mirror, he spotted another figure hurrying up the street, waving frantically. "Now what?" thought the policeman, stepping on the brakes. "Whoa, wait up!" shouted the approaching figure, his unmistakable bald head glinting, love bald, under the streetlights. It was Leroy Brannett, a.k.a. Curly, the foreman of Mother Paula's project. He was huffing and puffing when he reached the police car and drooped wearily across the hood. His face was florid and smudged with dirt. Officer Delinko leaned out the window and asked what was the matter. "You caught him," the foreman exclaimed breathlessly. "Way to go." "Caught who?" The policeman turned to appraise his prisoner in the back seat. "Him, the little sneak who's been messing up our place." Curly straightened and pointed accusingly at the teenager. "He tried to bust into my trailer tonight. Lucky I didn't shoot his fool head off." Officer Delinko fought to contain his excitement. He'd actually done it. He'd caught the Mother Paula's vandal. "I had him pinned and he got away," Curly was saying, "but not before I wrung out his name. It's Roy Eberhart. Go ahead and ask him." "I don't need to," said Officer Delinko. "I know Roy Eberhart, and that's not him." "What?" Curly was fuming as if he'd expected honesty from the young burglar. Officer Delinko said, "I assume you want to press charges." "You bet your shiny tin badge I do. This creep tried to blind me, too. Threw dirt in my eyes." "That's an assault," Officer Delinko said, "to go along with attempted burglary, trespassing, destruction of private property, and so forth." "Don't worry, I'll put it all in the report." He motioned to the passenger side and told Curly to hop in. "You'll need to come down to headquarters." "My pleasure." Curly scowled at the sullen lump in the back seat. "You want to hear how he got those ridiculous rat traps on his tootsies?" "Later," said Officer Delinko. "I want to hear everything." This was his big break that the policeman had been waiting for. He could hardly wait to get to the station and pry a full confession out of the teenager. From training films, Officer Delinko remembered that delicate psychology was necessary when dealing with uncooperative suspects. So, in a deliberately mild voice, he said, "You know, young man, you could make this much easier on yourself." "You're right," the kid muttered from behind the partition. "You could start by telling us your real name." "Gee, I forgot." Curly chuckled harshly. "Putting this one in jail's gonna be fun." Officer Delinko shrugged. "Have it your way," he told the teenage prisoner. "You got nothing to say? That's cool. You're entitled under the law." The boy smiled crookedly. "What if I got a question?" "Go right ahead and ask it." "Okay, I will," said Dana Matherson. "Either of you dorks got a cigarette I could bum?" The doorbell rang while the Eberhards were eating lunch. "On a Sunday." "Honestly," Roy's mother said, she believed that Sundays should be reserved for family activities. "You've got a visitor," Roy's father said when he returned from answering the door. Roy's stomach knotted up. He wasn't expecting anybody. He suspected that something newsworthy must have happened last night at the Pancake House property. "One of your buddies," Mr. Eberhart said. "He says you guys had plans to go skateboarding." "Oh," it had to be Garrett. Roy was almost dizzy with relief. "Yeah, I forgot. But, honey, you don't even own a skateboard," Mrs. Eberhart pointed out. "It's all right. His friend brought an extra," said Mr. Eberhart. Roy rose from the table, hurriedly dabbing his mouth with a napkin. "Is it okay if I go?" "Roy, it's Sunday," his mother objected. "Please, just for an hour." He knew his parents would say yes. They were happy to think that he was making friends at his new school. Garrett was waiting on the front steps. He started to blurt something, but Roy signaled him to keep quiet until they were away from the house. Wordlessly, they skated the sidewalk to the end of the block, where Garrett kicked off of his board and exclaimed, "You won't believe it. Dana Matherson got busted last night." "No way," Roy said, trying to act more surprised than he was. Obviously, the Mother Paula's property had been under surveillance, just as he'd anticipated. "The cops called my mom first thing this morning," Garrett reported. "He tried to break into a trailer and steal some stuff." As the guidance counselor at Trace Middle School, Garrett's mother was notified whenever a student got into trouble with the law. Garrett said, Dude, here's the killer. Dana told him he was you. Oh, nice. What a dork, huh? And they probably believed him, Roy said. Not even for a minute. Was he alone, Roy asked. Anyone else get arrested? Anybody like Beatrice Leap's stepbrother, he wanted to say. Nope, just him, Garrett said, and guess what? He's got a record. A record? A rap sheet, dude. Dana's been busted before, is what the cops told my mom. Again, Roy wasn't exactly shocked by the news. Busted for what? Shoplifting, breaking into coke machines, stuff like that, Garrett said. One time he even knocked down a lady and swiped her purse. Mom made me promise not to tell. It's supposed to be a secret since Dana's still a minor. Right, said Roy sarcastically. You wouldn't want to ruin his fine reputation. Whatever. Hey, you gotta be doing somersaults. Yeah, for what? Because my mom says they're gonna lock him up this time. Juvie Hall? Oh, no doubt, said Garrett, on account of his rap sheet. Wow, Roy said quietly. He wasn't in the mood to turn somersaults, though he couldn't deny experiencing a sense of liberation. He was tired of being Dana Matherson's punching bag. And while he felt guilty about making up the bogus cigarette story, Roy also couldn't help but think that putting Dana behind bars was a public service. He was a nasty kid. Maybe a hitch at Juvie would straighten him out. Hey, want to go to the skate park? Garrett asked. Sure. Roy got on his borrowed skateboard and pushed off hard with his right foot, the whole way to the park. He never once checked over his shoulder to see if he was being stalked. It felt good, the way Sundays ought to feel. Curly awoke in his own bed, and why not? The Mother Paula's vandal was finally in custody, so there was no reason to spend the night on guard at the trailer. Officer Delinko gave him a lift home. Curly had entertained his wife and his mother-in-law with a blow-by-blow account of the exciting events. For dramatic purposes, Curly had jazzed up a few of the details. In his version of the story, for instance, the surly young intruder disabled him with expertly aimed karate chops, which sounded more serious than having dirt thrown in your face. Curly also decided it was necessary, or it was unnecessary, to mention that he tripped in an owl burrow and fallen. Instead, he described the chase as a breathless neck-and-neck sprint. Officer Delinko's role in the capture of the fleeing criminal was conveniently minimized. Curly's performance went over so fabulously at home that he was confident Chuck Muddle would go for it too. First thing Monday morning, Curly would call Mother Paula's corporate headquarters to give the vice president the details of the arrest and of his own heroics. He couldn't wait to hear Mr. Muckle choke out a congratulations. After lunch, Curly sat down to watch a ball game. No sooner had he settled in front of the TV than a Mother Paula's commercial came on promoting the weekend special, $6.95 for all the pancakes you could eat, and that does sound good, plus free sausage and coffee. The sight of Kimberly Lou Dixon playing Mother Paula made Curly think of the cheesy movie he'd rented, The Last House on Witch Boulevard 3. He couldn't recall whether it was due back at Blockbuster that afternoon or the following day. Curly hated paying late fees on video rentals, so he decided to go to the trailer and get the tape. On the drive there, Curly was distressed to remember that he'd left something else at the construction site, his gun. During the night's commotion, he had somehow lost track of his .38 revolver. He didn't recall having it when he was riding in Officer Delinko's patrol car, so it must have slipped out from his belt while he was scuffling with the kid outside the trailer. Another possibility was that he dropped it when he stepped in that darn owl hole. Misplacing a loaded gun was a serious matter, and Curly was highly annoyed with himself, and he should be. When he arrived at the fence lot, he hurried to the area where he and the teenager had wrestled. There was nothing. Anxiously, Curly retraced his steps to the owl den and pointed a flashlight down the hall. Nothing. Now he was genuinely worried. He checked inside the trailer and saw that nothing had been disturbed from the night before. The door was too damaged to be reattached, so Curly covered the opening with 2 sheets of plywood. Then he began a methodical search back and forth across the property, eyes glued to the ground. In one hand he carried a heavy rock, just in case he encountered one of those poisonous moccasins. Gradually a harrowing thought seeped into Curly's brain, chilling him like ice water. What if the teenage burglar had swiped the revolver from his waistband while they were fighting? The kid could have stashed it in a dumpster or tossed it in some bushes as he ran away. Curly shuddered as he pressed on with the hunt. After about half an hour, he'd worked his way down to the section of the property where the earth-moving equipment was parked in preparation for site clearing. By this time, he'd almost given up hope of finding the gun. He was quite a distance from where he had last remembered having it, and in the opposite direction from where the vandal had fled. Curly figured there was no possible way that it would turn up so far from the trailer unless an exceptionally large owl had picked it up and carried it there. his eyes fixed on a shallow depression in a soft patch of sand, the imprint of a bare foot, definitely human. Curly counted the toes just to make sure. The foot appeared to be considerably smaller than Curly's own, smaller too than those of the husky teenage burglar. Farther ahead, Curly came across another footprint, and then another, and still another after that. The tracks led directly toward the row of earth-moving machines, and Curly advanced with a growing sense of unease. He stepped in front of a bulldozer and shielded his brow from the sunlight. At first, he didn't notice anything wrong, but then it hit him like a kick from a mule. The driver's seat was gone. Dropping the rock that he'd been carrying for protection, Curly dashed to the next machine in line, a backhoe. Its seat had disappeared too. In a snit, Curly stomped toward the third and last piece of equipment, a grader. Again, no driver's seat. Curly spat out a bad word. Without seats, the earth-moving machines were basically useless. The operators had to sit down in order to work the foot pedals and steer at the same time. The foreman's mind was racing feverishly. Either the kid they caught last night had a hidden accomplice, or someone else had sneaked into the property after Curly had departed. But who? Curly wondered in exasperation. Who sabotaged my equipment, and when? Fruitlessly, he searched for the missing seats, his mood darkening by the moment. No longer was he looking forward to calling Mr. Munkle at Mother Paula's headquarters. In fact, he was dreading it. Curly suspected that the grumpy vice president would take great delight in firing him over the phone. In despair, Curly headed for the portable latrines. Having guzzled almost a whole pitcher of iced tea during lunch, he now felt like his belly was about to burst. The stress of the situation wasn't helping either. Curly armed himself with a flashlight and entered one of the traveling Johnnies, leaving the door slightly ajar just in case a hasty exit was required. He wanted to be sure nobody had booby-trapped the toilet with foul-tempered reptiles again. Cautiously, Curly aimed his flashlight down the dark hole of the commode. He gulped as the beam illuminated something shiny and black in the water. But upon closer scrutiny, he saw that it wasn't an alligator. Perfect, Curly muttered wretchedly. Just perfect. It was his gun. And that's where we'll stop. Page 204, right in the middle. Nice paragraph break. And we will pick this up tomorrow. Hope you all have a great day.